Hello everyone, and welcome to the Nethergreen podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Hector, and the other host is sat right next to me. His name is Bradley, and today...
You got my name wrong. It's actually pronounced Bradley.
I'll go again.
Yeah, go again, man. You're ruining it.
And the other host next to me, Bradley.
That's better. But it wasn't perfect. I'll let it go, but it wasn't perfect. I'm going to say that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're a failure whenever you come.
I'm so sorry. I don't know why I bothered coming on the podcast today. To be honest.
Yeah,
you
know what? I think after this one we're gonna let you go.
I'm an emotional wreck. A lot has happened.
You are. This has caused several breakdowns. This podcast. Your marriage collapsed.
Yeah.
Your kids have stopped talking to you.
We just watched 2021 Cinderella. I'm ready to
We just did a commentary track.
Yeah,
for Cinderella.
After watching that, I'm ready to have a breakdown. I'm ready to have an emotional breakdown.
It was an experience. I actually found myself. It's my favourite film. It's not. It was not as bad as I thought it'd be. I honestly, from the trailers and the James Cordens and a lot of the news, I thought it was going to be fucking terrible. But no, it was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine.
It was okay.
That's actually how I'd word it. I wouldn't call it fine. I would say it was fine with that exact time. Because you know from that time that, okay, it's fine, but it still skews towards the negative more than the positive.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There was just so many things.
There was.
There was just so many things.
I'm glad James wasn't in it as much. If James Corden was like throughout the movie.
Yeah. Which
technically he is because of the mouse, but I mean actual James Corden. Oh, it would have made it so much worse.
Yeah.
So much worse.
No, definitely. But, like, aside from James Corden, any of the cringe, you know, there was a lot of good elements, you know, the choreography I thought was good, the production value was good, you know, set design.
I love the costuming. Which is an important part of the story too, so I'm glad that was good, you know. And I didn't notice if any of the costumes were, but it's possible that some of the costumes at least were CG.
Yeah.
A lot of films do that these days.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it would have had a high enough budget to do that for lots of the characters. Maybe, especially when, like, the fairy godmother makes the dress.
The fabulous
godmother.
Who was only in one scene, I'm pretty sure.
They essentially just used him for
one scene.
Marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in all the trailers. I'm pretty sure he's on the poster, big and shit. He was in one scene. Barely. He could go uncredited. He could go on credit. Stan Lee has had bigger fucking cameos in Marvel movies than he had.
Yeah, it's true. But obviously, James Corden thought it was so necessary to change the fairy godmother to being a gay black man.
Well, we can't blame, because, again, I mean, he is a producer. He's the one who came up with the idea and approached them and was like, we should reinterpret Cinderella. But he wasn't the writer. He wasn't the director. We don't know if he was involved in the casting. He probably was. I know he probably was. But let's just give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's just blame all of them. Not just him. All of them. Yeah. All of the people behind this.
Because I think all of the people in the circle with James Corden would have been...
He has yes men, for sure. He has people surrounding him being like, that's a great idea. Yeah. Yes, you should star in Cats.
Yeah.
That's going to look really good on your CV, James.
No.
Maybe,
James.
You know what, actually? He's been in 2 of the worst movies. He's been in Cats, and he was also in the Emoji Movie.
Oh my god, was he?
Yeah, he voiced the giant hand in the Emoji Movie. Dude's got some big yes men.
Jesus
They're not going to let him say no to anything.
Wow, yeah. Then I guess the saying is true. Any film with James Corden is probably going to be a bad film.
It's true. Here's a fun exercise. Think of the last good one. Think the last good thing you saw James Corden in.
I don't know.
For me... Yeah, it's not a show, but it'd be The Wrong Man's, which came out, I think, 2012. So it's been 9 years that this guy's been dropping.
Yeah.
You know? And you know what? And he's not the only one who does this, but whenever he does it, I find it the most annoying. On his fucking talk show, whenever he has a celebrity come on and do something, he always has to fucking insert himself into it. The biggest example, right? They had the Stranger Things kids on. That's 4 young kids, and the kids formed a little boy band, yeah? And who's joining them but the mid-30s James fucking Corden singing along with these 4 kids? Like, no, let them have the spotlight, James.
Yeah.
Not only do they, you know, it looks weird, James. This actually looks weird. Like, you need the spotlight so much you're making yourself look weird. Like, no, just let the kids have their fun.
But that is James Corden.
He's not the only one. Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel sometimes do it, but whenever he does it, it's the one that annoys me the most. Because it's like, you don't have to do this, James. Like, have you seen, like, there's a viral video for Cinderella where it's like a promo thing, and it's something he does on his show where when the stoplight goes off, he runs out and he dances.
Yeah.
And he's in a mouse suit, and someone took a video from the car where he's fucking thrusting towards the car, being like, done, done, done. James, just tone it down. Tone it down 20%, James. 30%, James.
Oh, James.
Let's just see what would happen if you toned it down 20%.
If you toned it down 20%, it wouldn't be James Corden anymore. That's what it would be. That's what would happen.
That's really true.
It wouldn't be, because that's who he is.
It's true.
That's who he is.
He seems so fucking... Alright, and here's the thing. Alright, I'm about to say this, but this isn't just me saying it. And this isn't even really my opinion, but a lot of people have accused him of this. He makes himself appear to be gay. Like, he's kind of queer baiting.
Yeah.
Like, have you heard of that film, I think it's called Fuck the Prom, or just The Prom? It was on Netflix. He plays a gay man in that. Now, from what I've seen, because obviously I didn't watch that, but from what I've seen, you can't really, he's just James. He's just him. So, and a lot of people, because like, when people hear that he's married to a woman and he's got kids, on the internet at least, I've seen a lot of people actually being like, huh.
Yeah.
You know, like, huh. Because he does, he gives off that vibe, and I can imagine it's on purpose. I really can. Like,
Yeah, you could get very political with that one, which I'm not going to on Twitch.
Yeah, and again, it's not my opinion.
I do think...
But it is an opinion out there.
I do think it's weird. I mean, look at like, actors who've done something similar to that, where they've played, a certain, like, role when they're not. Like, Robert Downey Jr. playing...
What, Tropic Thunder?
Yeah.
Well, I mean... Well, no, even that's different, because in that, he's not playing a African-American man, he's playing a white man.
Yeah, no,
Yeah. So, yeah, the only way that, I mean, if James Corden played a man who was playing a gay man, it would work, I suppose.
Yeah. So it's worse.
Yeah. No, it is worse.
It's worse, yeah. It is worse.
But then again, no, I mean, I see it on the internet a lot, but people love to throw around as an insult. It's not an insult, though. He could be gay. It wouldn't make him any less or more of a dickhead than he already is.
I mean, maybe
it's his personality that's causing that.
See, I think because he is like a very theatrical man, he's obviously into
I think he's done Broadway.
He wouldn't be into so many musicals if he wasn't into like Broadway and like theatre and stuff like that. And most of those guys are quite gay.
Yeah,
like there's a lot of like gay culture in like theatre, so I can see why. I could definitely see why. Like, I remember on our course when we were studying media at college, the people doing theatre, a lot of the guys there were quite,
flamboyant,
like that. They were very flamboyant. I think there were like three gay guys just on that course in our year.
Yeah.
Which, so I think that says a lot.
I always forget that James Corden was in Doctor Who. Remember he was in those 2 episodes of Matt Smith?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That was before he got big. That was in 2011. He was still small and over here. People didn't know him in America back then. He wouldn't do that these days, Not even because of what Doctor Who, it's just because of how big he's gotten. Like, he wouldn't do it,
See, I feel like he probably, he probably would be on Doctor Who because it is very, like, politically correct now, with all the
There
new
are
stuff.
a lot of actors who have actually been in Doctor Who, that's surprising. Did you know Andrew Garfield was in Doctor Who?
Andrew Garfield?
Future Spider-Man.
I didn't know that.
He was. He was in a David Tennant episode. He was in a 2-parter. The one where him and Martha go to New York and there's Daleks and pigmen. He's in that episode. He plays one of those.
Is he one of the workers?
Yeah. No, not one of the workers. He's one of the fucking village people. He's got a hat and he's like, boss.
Yes.
Yes. He's one of those. And that was in like 2007.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. See, I think all, many good actors many good actors have been a part of Doctor Who because Doctor Who is and was like a very big part of TV.
Well, it's a British icon for sure. Like, that can't be debated. It is. It's a big part of British television, and
I'd say on par with things like Sherlock. I think. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Sherlock Holmes' character. Yeah, the TV show will have no cultural relevance in 100 years. That show is shit. But we're not here to talk about Sherlock. Actually, we are here to talk about something though.
No, we are.
Give me the. What are you doing?
No, it's not yours.
See, we recorded an episode about the big boy, Rick and Morty, Season 5. And unfortunately, it was lost in a tragic fire. There was a fire on my computer, on my hard drive, and it burned one specific block on the hard drive, and everything else apart from that one file is perfectly safe.
Yeah.
That one file, however, burned from existence, never to be seen again.
It's gone forever.
So, that does mean, Hector, that we are going to look through and review the entirety of Rick and Morty Season 5 again.
Well, not for you guys. For us it would be again. For you guys it will be the first time that we've talked about it.
We're going to start off going through it in order, and then at the end we're going to give our conclusive ranking of what we believe to be the best and what we believe to be the worst, and all of that. So, no, you can put your phone down. We're gonna start from, we're gonna start in order.
I can't even find where I put it, so yeah.
We'll start in order, yeah. So, Season 5 of Rick and Morty, Episode 1. Mort Dinner, Rick Andre. Now this was peak Rick and Morty.
It was very
Instant
good.
classic. You remember the episode.
Mr. Nimbus.
He controls the police. He controls the police.
Fight. Fuck. Flee.
It was such a great episode that if anything, and here's the thing, I'm not actually saying this because I think it's a ridiculous comment, but it's almost so good that it's to the detriment of the rest of the series because of how middling the rest of it gets. Like, it was until episode 8, this was the peak. This was the best of the season, and to have it be the very first one, it was like, man,
But as well, it hit hard with the comeback, and it got everyone hyped for Rick and Morty again, because it was good. Fucking Jessica became a time god, and we haven't seen her since, so I actually think she's gone now.
Yeah, no, she's like Rick, she's on her own adventures now. She's found her own Morty.
Yeah. But, it was a good episode. It was a very good episode.
And it's one that I would describe as, when I first watched it, and to this day, I think it was an instant classic. Yeah. Like, truly, this will be one that I can't wait to revisit in the future, because this was fucking brilliant. And the subplot too, with Morty against that civilization that grow to see him as like a fucking demon. Like, fucking great shit. Perfect Rick and Morty.
Really good.
Episode 2. Mortyplicity. The decoy episode.
Yes.
Now, this is a special one because most episodes have A plots and B plots, and some even have C plots. This was entirely A plot.
It was,
and I think that's a problem because this story isn't that big.
Yeah, it didn't really go much.
To
be fair, it had like the one trope that it did have that I thought kind of helps it there was the trope of like, is this the real Rick and Morty now? And then it keeps it kind of like, the suspense or like kind of, it was an interesting episode.
But even then, I feel like that suspense only lasted to about halfway, and then you were like, it's fair game. None of them are probably the real one.
Yeah, but it was fun. Like, it was a fun episode. They introduced a lot of cool stuff. A lot of cool shit. Like,
they did.
All the different, you had like the weird...
There were wooden versions and Muppet versions.
Yeah, like the ugly version of Rick that wanted their skin.
The inside out one.
He wanted their skin.
I want your skin, Morty. It was a good... Yeah, okay, it was a fine filler episode.
It was a filler episode. It was so meaningless because none of what happened mattered at all.
True.
It may as well not even have been canon. It might as well not even have happened.
Maybe it didn't. Maybe it's not canon, maybe this was a different Rick.
Maybe. But yeah, no, it was... that's why I don't rate it that highly.
I thought when I first watched it, I was like, this is fine. Like, especially with the ones that follow it, I was like, this is fine. Yeah. Like, this is an episode I'd still rewatch. I'd put it on now. I thought it was so fine. But yeah, in the end, it was like, it was never going to be like a top 10 Rick and Morty episode,
Yeah.
And here's the thing, because, like, I don't mind episodes not having a B plot or a C plot. As a writer myself, I totally believe that you can centre one entire episode of a story around one specific thing. In fact, that's how I plan on writing. I don't really like subplots that much. But the only reason this episode didn't have a B plot and a C plot is because it involved the entire family. The story itself didn't need it that much. This could have been an A plot if it only involved a few of them, and Summer easily could have been doing her own thing in this. But they felt like they stretched it out in order to fit an entire plot, Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
You should. I'm always right. Episode 3. A Rick Convenient Mort. This is Planetina, and the fucking Rick and Summer go on a fucking beer crawl. I did not enjoy this one. I've been quite vocal about that, I feel. I feel like this is actually one of my least favourite episodes. I truly do. I don't enjoy it. And we've spoken about it before on podcasts, both Lost and Found, that I feel this episode should have been like a Series 1 episode. If it was a Series 1 episode, I might have enjoyed it more. But it regresses their characters, and I don't stand it. And you've disagreed with that, and that's fine.
I do disagree with that, because, you know, it kind of, like, kept you grounded with, like, Morty's character. Because realistically, like, he hasn't changed. It hasn't been that long since the
first
episode.
But he has changed, that's the thing.
Yeah, but it hasn't been, but he's still a kid, which is the point, you know, that I'd take from it, you know. He's still a kid, you know, he like, brutally murders those guys in that episode, showing that he's developed, and then all of that stuff happens where he's like, you know, all the contradictory shit with, you know, him and Planetina, where basically, like...
Shandy killed 30 miners. He was on the Purge planet. Like, honestly, like, and I get it, you're right. 14-year-olds are massive hypocrites who don't know what...
Exactly, so I don't think it's out of place, because it's completely accurate. A 14-year-old would do that.
I feel like this was a Series 1 episode. And it's the placement of it I don't like. I feel like... And, like, again, in Series... Like, don't get me wrong. You can totally show that aspect of Morty. I feel like this was the wrong way of doing it. I feel like it was bad timing to show this aspect of Morty, you know?
That's fair, but I do think the B-plot wasn't very good.
The B-plot was, yeah.
And I didn't think the B-plot was very good.
And I've spoken about that also resembling a Series 1 thing, because of the fact that Rick falls in love, and in Series 2, we have Unity, and at the end of that episode, one of the darkest endings in Rick and Morty, he tries and fails to kill himself. Like, he narrowly fails. And, like, man, to have him just instantly... Like, he hasn't fallen in love since, apart from that one random girl he met on a beer crawl.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I honestly, I think this was a Series 1 episode. And it was the guy's first script. He's been friends with Dan Harmon for years. He wrote Monster House with him. I think this is a Series 1 episode.
Yeah.
And if I watch it as that, maybe I'll enjoy it more, but where it stands, nah.
Yeah.
Nah, I just don't.
Well, I still think it's good, you know. Aside from the B-plot, I thought the A-plot was really good.
Yeah, I don't enjoy either of them. And that's hard for me. And don't be wrong, I'm not a Rick and Morty shrill. There have been some episodes that I just don't enjoy that much. Again, I don't like the Purge episode that much. I think the Vindicators one is pretty weak. Most of Season 4 is pretty weak, that fucking Dragon one shit. But this episode was just like... Yeah, it was the writing specifically that, like, irked me.
Yeah.
I can say. Because, again, regressed, in my opinion.
Yeah.
My honest, truthful, noble opinion.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
But then we get to, what the internet have concluded is the worst episode.
Yes.
Episode 4, Rick Dependent Spray. We get giant sperm monsters. We get a giant incest baby. We get... a ton of weird Rick moments where...
Pointless things.
And I think... Because we talked about this episode on the podcast before, when it came out, and I mentioned the Vat of Acid episode. How that entire episode was Rick fucking with Morty for thinking he was better than him and putting him in his place.
Yeah.
And with this episode, I thought until about halfway through that that's what they were doing. Because I was like, how does Rick not know yet? How has he not picked up?
That did get me as well.
That Morty is lying straight to his fucking face. The smartest man in the universe can't tell.
It was something so simple.
And then it gets revealed by the sperm, and Rick's like, you lying piece of shit. Like, no, Rick, you really should have known that, pal. Come on, man. Come on, Rick.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, we get the giant incest baby, which is just uncomfortable, is what it is.
Unnecessary.
Yeah, it's just, it's unnecessary, it's uncomfortable. This was the episode, and we'd spoken about it before this episode aired. Like, with episode 2 and 3, I mentioned the idea, but this episode kind of cemented the idea that Rick and Morty could become a Family Guy in terms of the quality of its content.
Oh, no.
Just throwing shit in the air.
Yeah.
You know? And, yeah, that would really suck. That really would. And this episode was... I would rewatch it. There were some moments in the episode that I think that whole thing with Blazin, I think his name is, that, that really sick guy is quite funny,
The most awesome dude ever.
The Chuds were funny. The
Chuds were funny. Chud. Who came up with that name?
I think it's based on a movie.
The Chuds.
The cannibalistic humanoid underground
dwellers,
yeah. But yeah, no, episode 4 was pretty shit, I can say. And yeah, I remember the end with the giant incest baby, and I remember very distinctly thinking, wow, there's no way they're ever going to bring that back. We'll talk about that.
Oh, that also, I just remember there was also Rick had a baby with one of the Chuds.
Yeah, Rick has a little horse baby and he just instantly goes underground. And Rick, the episode literally ends with him pulling out a "that was easy" button.
So, it's canon that Rick had sex with a horse.
Yeah.
With a Chud.
Yeah. So yeah, they both had kids that episode. I don't know, weird episode. And yeah, lowest rated on IMDb by far. Very hated. Episode 5, A Mortican Graffiti. This is the cringe demons and the fun tour with the car who goes on a date with a transformer. Fun episode.
I thought so.
I do think this is fun. It was, I think it's one of the better Jerry episodes. Like, to see them all shit on Jerry constantly and then to see the demons turn on Rick and be like, don't you understand? The fact that you think you're so much better than him is just as cringe. And Jerry kind of got a bit of retribution from that,
Yeah.
And it had my favourite line in, I think, the series. I love this line. Quickly, Rick can smell adventure. Fucking destroyed me when I first watched it. I love lines like that. And yeah, I thought this would be going wrong. Very much a filler episode, but I think, it was just a really fun one. In my opinion.
Think it was good, yeah. And we got to see the car being a slut.
Yeah, the car being a fucking slut. And you know what, the car, I mean, it's not just the car, because she's also the AI of the garage. She's a really fun character, because Rick created her to be just as much of an arsehole as he is.
Yeah.
Like, that's why she's like
She kills all those other cars.
Yeah, she killed... Dude, in Series 2 episode, remember when she was like, keep Summer safe, and she murders all those people. She produces that little boy, and he's like, don't hurt the car, Daddy, and he melts in his father's eyes. No! Like, yeah, she's fucked up.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
And I love her for it. And yeah, that was a good episode. Episode 6. Rick and Morty's Thanksploitation Spectacular. Rick and Morty become turkeys and fight the president.
Yeah.
Now, I love the president. He's voiced by Keith David. He's a great actor. He's also in Community. He appears a lot this season. He also appears in episode 4.
He does.
And he doesn't have that big of a part compared to this. But this one was a really fun one again. It's Rick and Morty are trying to get a presidential pardon by turning themselves into turkeys and tricking him into pardoning them before he eats them and turning back to humans. And then
the president turns into a turkey.
Yeah. And it's also implied in the episode that this is something Rick and Morty do like every Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Which begs the question of why haven't you turned yourself into a turkey already?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a really fun one. And then that turkey becomes a human and he becomes the president and he decides he's going to take over the world. And it was fun and games. We get to see Rick and Morty become turkeys and fight the turkey president, and there was some really good, I never wondered how would turkeys fight. If turkeys were fighting for their lives.
They showed the real turkey fighting action, and they had them proper.
Yeah, they were using their feet and they were pecking eyes and shit. Yeah. It was cool.
But they showed an unnatural way for the turkeys to fight with guns.
That's true. Yeah. That is very true. But it was a good episode.
It was a good episode.
Episode 7. Gotron, Jerry Sis, Rick Vangeline.
Yes.
Wasn't. Now, this was a leaked episode that we watched the same day as episode 4. Now, I talked about this. I saw on Reddit that someone was like, I just watched a leak episode and spoiler alert, they bring the giant incest baby back. And I immediately called bullshit. I was like, that is the biggest bait I've ever seen. They know how hated the episode is. There's no fucking way. And then we got 10 minutes into the episode. And Summer says, do you guys remember that giant incest baby from a couple of weeks ago? And I was like, what the fuck is happening? And they did it. But yeah, so the episode is actually, like...
They bring back the giant incest baby.
They do, but the actual episode itself, Rick is obsessed with Gotron ferrets, which are these big robot transformer things that combine to create Go-Go-Gatron ferrets.
Yeah, you get, and then you combine the Go-Go-Gatrons and it makes the
Go-Go-Gatron.
And then you combine two of those together.
And to do that, he's recruited Rick and Morty's throughout the multiverse to combine Go-Go-Gatrons to create the ultimate Go-Go-Gatron.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a little Mafia story, which is fine. You know, it was done better in Community. Dan Harmon's done a Mafia story better. And then, yeah, it goes... halfway through, it takes this twist with the incest baby. They go really hard on the anime, and they introduce, like, anime characters who kidnap Rick. And it ends with a fucking fight in space with a giant incest baby.
Yeah.
Who doesn't have to wear a space suit or anything. He can just breathe in space.
Yeah.
And it's... yeah.
It's never explained.
I think this episode's a bit shit.
You see... I
actually enjoy it less
I think it might actually be worse than the sperm episode. And let me tell you why. I can remember the sperm episode.
Yeah.
That one is the least memorable episode in the whole season.
I would rather rewatch the sperm one.
I actually can't even remember really what happened in that episode.
Yeah.
Like, I can't really picture the scenes of that episode. The other ones, all of them, I can remember perfectly fine. That one.
The only one shot from that episode that I remember, like, clearly in my head is a shot where Summer is comforting a Rick with a dead Jerry in the bed, and it's implying that she killed the Jerry.
Yeah.
That's the only shot in the entire thing that, like, stands out to me. The rest of it, I don't care.
Yeah.
Complete filler. Brought back the incest baby for some reason. Proved that the writers were a bit manipulative, because they have lines in that being like, everyone hated the incest baby. You wrote that to be hated, didn't you? You wanted to cause a fan reaction. The leak ruined it. I see your game now.
Yeah.
I see your game. Yeah, episode 7, bit cringe.
Yeah.
Not cringe, but I didn't like it. Episode 8, however. Returnal Friendshine of the Spotless Mort. Rick goes inside, but Morty's he's not in this episode. He's only in the cold open. It's a Rick episode.
Is this the bird person one?
Yeah. Rick goes inside bird person's head to try and find him. He finds a younger version of himself that's a distant memory. They team up, and it's a really cool episode.
I thought it was a good episode. Yeah.
This was a return to form for sure.
Yeah.
Like, it gave me some more hope.
And it introduced a lot of nice, juicy canon for all the viewers. A lot of nice canon, and the canon story is good. It
was the most we had seen of Rick's backstory so far.
Yeah, so far. There's more to come on that one, but you know, it was. I think it's nice because all the filler episodes, you know, you're not enthralled, you're not into it. Nothing's canon. It's not really important. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're doing something that's a bit more like. It's like as a part of the main story that you've been following through all the seasons. It's more enthralling.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it really, I mean, they clearly don't enjoy doing canon episodes that much, in my opinion, but they've got to understand that that's when, in their audience's opinion, that's when they're at their best.
Yeah.
Like, truly. This episode was a great example of it. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the fact, and it sounds mean to Morty, I love his character, but I really enjoyed the fact that Morty wasn't in it. And like, to have a Rick-centric story was really necessary, with that sort of, you know, quality and content, you know. Yeah. Like, yeah, there would be no reason for Morty to go inside Bird Person's head. You know, of course Rick would do it when he was alone. And yeah, and in the end, they don't become friends. You know, he finds out that Rick is willing to lie to him about his daughter, and he leaves him. So maybe they're not friends anymore, you know?
But he is still alive. Bird Person's back.
He's out there somewhere.
Yeah.
Wait and see.
He's saving his daughter. That's what he's doing.
He's going and finding his daughter, and he's saving her. Like a good dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a good Bird Person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, episode 9. And these are when we get into the big boys. Forgetting Sarick Mortshall. They're going strong on these names. This is the episode where Rick and Morty break up. Rick does a will to decide who he should have his new sidekick, and he goes on to Two Crows. And
Two Crows. It's Rick and Two Crows.
It's Rick and Two Crows.
And they really went for it.
Yeah.
They really went for it.
And meanwhile, Morty has spilled some. Oh yeah, so this episode begins with what was at the time a very topical reference.
Oh,
remember?
yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. It was a very topical reference because this was happening all around the time that the Taliban had invaded Afghanistan's capital. And what was in the first scene of that episode? Like, basically, a mock-up version in their universe of the Taliban.
And Morty
stopping them and, like, references being like, what was it?
America left? Yeah, Rick left and they
and we just let them take over. Yeah.
Very topical, very bold.
Which I don't think was appropriate.
Really? But we spoke about this. They're not making fun of the victims, they're making fun of the Taliban.
But it's just not something that you'd include in this sort of media.
I disagree. You should be able to include anything.
I don't know. Let's say, for example, the Taliban have murdered your entire family, and then you see them poking fun at the Taliban in Rick and Morty. It would just be like, it's not serious enough.
Yeah, but
for the seriousness of what the actual situation is.
Yeah, but if the Taliban, remember this happened at the time, so this would be the Taliban murdered my wife and family last week, and I'm still catching up on the latest Rick and Morty. Like, no, I've got bigger problems. I'm not watching the latest Rick and Morty.
That's true.
My family would just be murdered by the Taliban.
That's true. But even still, I think it's too topical to have on a show like that. You know, like the 9/11 jokes, the Pearl Harbor jokes, that's like stuff from history at this point now. That happened a very long time ago. You know, almost 20 years ago. But
no, it was.
Yeah.
You said almost. It was.
Okay, right. Whatever, Bradley.
It's the 23rd.
Pearl Harbor was even longer ago, but
no. Pearl Harbor was also 20 years ago. It was a bad year. 2000.
Yeah, it was just a really bad year. Yeah, but you know, the Taliban has been like that's recent, so I don't know. Yeah.
Well, it's topical, and you know what? You can think what you want, but guess what?
What?
They did it anyway. They don't care what you think. They just did it. They were like, you know what? Let's not ask Hector what he thinks about this one. Let's just do it. How do you feel about that, Hector? They should have come to you.
They shouldn't.
You're quality control.
I'm not qualified to be quality control.
You are. This is what qualifies you, this podcast.
Oh my god.
It's true.
No. He dropped all his hopes and dreams.
But yeah, this was a really fun one. Morty shines in this episode. Like, he pretty much takes the Rick role. He gets into an abusive relationship with Nick, who's a fucking asylum guy. They do a fucking really cool breakout where they're using their portal to their advantage. They make someone choke and vomit. It
was cool. And he pokes the broomstick through the portal and jabs him in the neck with it. That was cool.
Really cool shit. And they go to a bar and they go to Rick's garage and they start trashing it up.
Yeah.
And Garbage Goober exists. We're going to mention him at the end.
Garbage Goober.
But yeah, Jerry comes out and is like, son, have you fallen in with a outcast asylum refugee and are now trashing your beloved granddad's basement? Because I want to join. And the first thing he picks up, he smashes, and he immediately turns into a blue little puddle of sludge. Which is classic
Such
Jerry.
a Jerry moment.
That's so Jerry.
Really well represented as Jerry.
It really is. Good for him. Bad for him, but good for him.
Even when Rick comes in, Rick's like, Jerry, why are you a puddle?
Why are you a puddle right now? What are you doing? Did you do this on purpose, Jerry? But yeah, they go to a bar because they're trying to get portal fluid because they find one of Rick's old portal guns. And Nick's just starting trouble. He's a bad man. He's a bad man. He's got a temper. And yeah, and he uses the portal to fucking make it seem like Morty's firing at them. Morty dumps an ashtray into his leg, which somehow sets Nick on fire.
Sets his whole leg on fire.
Even though the ashtray wasn't on fire.
Yeah.
There wasn't even smoke coming from it. How does that work? If I spilt my ashtray right now...
You're going to burst into flames.
Would it just burst?
Yes,
yeah.
That's exactly what will happen. Don't do it, Bradley. That is certain death at any time.
God. But, yeah, he tries to make a getaway. We find out in this episode that Morty can drive a car, like a normal... Yeah. Not just his spaceship.
He can become a car.
He can. Oh my god. You've awakened me. He can become a car because he is a car. Yeah. And yeah, and Nick the prick fucking ambushes him. Morty does a badass fucking act. A proper Rick move.
Yeah.
He uses a train track to dismember the hand that has a portal. he dumps it into Nick's leg portal, creates an infinite wormhole of portals.
Did you see that thing that I sent you? Because we actually Googled this. We actually Googled, like, if there was physics or science behind what would happen if you dropped a portal inside of a portal.
Yeah.
And apparently, according to the physics of this random person on the internet...
Who is qualified?
Who is qualified, definitely. It'll just build up an infinite amount of energy and then explode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which isn't what you want.
Which isn't what you want.
It's not what you want. And that's what he did. He just became a
put it in there,
fucking loophole. Yeah.
He disappeared. He's gone forever.
Yeah.
Into a black hole.
A black hole of infinity. That was Nick. And yeah, that was a real fucking baller move, son. I enjoyed that, Morty. Good for you.
Cut off his own hand and just dropped it into his portal.
Yeah,
and he just disappeared.
That is gangster shit, you know.
But I mean, even back in the fucking Planetina episode, he was being a gangster as well.
Yeah, and then he fucking, oh, you killed miners, woe is me. Grow up.
Moving on.
You're bred for forgiveness.
Moving on from that one.
Rick, at the same time, is playing with his two crows. He actually, he fucking, even though he's Rick Sanchez, the smartest man in the world, he could probably grow crows.
Yeah.
He decides, just to spite Morty, to make sure Morty can see him, to go outside Morty's bedroom window,
and catch them,
dress as a scarecrow, and catch them the old-fashioned way. He's so petty. He's the smartest man in the universe.
He's the pettiest man in the
He
universe.
is. He's both of those things. Man. And yeah, he trains the crows, and eventually, because the crows are showing too much empathy, he doesn't want them anymore. He's like, "No, we're done. We're done, two crows." He sends them to a crow planet, and they try and transmat him, and he tries to scramble it, and they see scramble it, and he's like, "Who's descrambling my transmat scrambler?" And he gets them to do thing, and they're like, "Why have you thrown away these crows?" That he's like, "I can't train them. I can't do it." And they're like, "You fool!
You never needed to train them.
The crows are already perfect. They are God's gifts." And he's like, "You're right. The crows
the
are the
untrained are the trained.
They're the perfect companions."
Yeah.
And yeah, he decides to embrace the two crows. And
then he becomes Rick and the two crows, and he goes back to Morty and he says, "Morty, we're done.
We're done." It feels like a season finale, it's supposed to, and he's like, "Yeah, I've got my crows now, and I need to figure some shit out when we're not healthy."
And for a second, I was like, are they actually doing this?
We bought it for a minute. They had us in the first half, not gonna lie.
They did, yeah. I was really like, wow, is this actually happening? I actually did. I was actually thinking that, unironically.
Hey man, I'm not accusing you of lying.
Yeah. Okay, alright, and yeah. We'll get to it.
And then episode 10 comes. And episode 10 is really fun. It's called Rickmurai Jack. It begins on episode 13 of Rick's spin-off, Rick and Two Crows. Episode 13, he's had an entire season of a spin-off in between those two episodes.
Yeah.
He's with his two crows, they're fighting in the Great Crow Wars against the Owl Kingdom. And he's become a full ninja, and he's doing some ninja shit one day. He fucking destroys some owls, and he leaves a fucking flower on one of their graves or some shit. And then he realises, oh shit, there's Morty. He's in the background, and Morty's like, "Hey man, yeah, I hope you're doing well.
Fancy seeing you here.
Fancy seeing you here in a time like this,
happen?
Ha 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 ha," is what Morty says. But Rick's like, "Nah, I'm sorry man, I'm not ready. I've still got to go out there and do my thing. The Crow Wars are still ongoing. They never end. They never end. The child." And yeah, and then he ends up at a bar where he fights Pucifer, the giant lion tiger guy.
Yes, it is Pucifer.
And I don't remember how that fight ends, but eventually Morty arrives, and holy shit,
it's old Morty.
It's 40-year-old Morty.
And when I first saw that, I was like, oh my god, this is happening.
Same. I was like, man, are we reaching the end game right now? How are they going to get out of this one?
Yeah.
And yeah, and fucking Morty's... He says two of the darkest lines in this episode. He says, Jerry is dying from cancer, essentially. You would love it if you were there. Like, you'd love to be there. That's dark. And the second one is, Summer's basically a nurse now. Well, kind of. She's dating a junkie. Like, man, he thinks so low of his family. He couldn't give a shit about either of them.
Yeah.
Imagine saying that about your sister.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Oh yeah, no,
terrible.
She's basically a nurse. She's dating a junkie, and that's funny. my sister's dating a junkie and that's funny. You know, he doesn't give a shit. And eventually, fucking Rick discovers the two crows are... And it's not the two crows. And it's not... They haven't got names, they're just two crows.
Two crows. He discovers they're in a sensual relationship with a scarecrow.
Is it Scarecrow? Crow-Scare. And he's Rick's nemesis. And and it turns out that they've had adventures the entire time and that they were rebounding him. You know, he was their rebound.
They were enjoying each other's bodies.
Sensually. And then they show him and he's like, oh my God.
I didn't want to know this.
I mean, they don't show it, but what does that look like? Because he's a scarecrow. Are they, physically, flying into him? And, doing shit? Who knows?
I don't want to know.
It raises questions.
It raises many questions.
So, he goes back home. And at this point, I was like, I'll go. Beth, Summer, and Jerry are all normal. And Rick comes... And Jerry comes back. Oh, my God. And Morty comes back. And he's still 40. And Rick realises, what did you do? And Jerry, oh my God, and Morty, what am I doing? Why am I so... It's because all of them end in E, Jerry, Morty.
Jerry, Morty.
Ricky.
Ricky. This is a Trailer Park Boys. No, but then fucking... basically, Rick comes back, he sees that everyone else is a normal age, and then Morty comes in still at 40. And he's like... Oh, and then it clicks and you're like, oh, right.
Yeah,
okay,
and he reveals that he bought it from someone who looks exactly like Rick. And Rick's like, all right, we better get this sorted. Let's go to the Citadel. At which point, I shot up in my seat. I was like, okay.
Back to the Citadel.
The Citadel is where shit is taking place. They go to the Citadel, they go to a builder Morty. They get the 26 years taken off of him, and
a young hip Morty comes out of the machine.
Yeah, and he fucking... A mutant Morty crawls up from the sewers, and police Morty shoot at him, and he tries to save, and he dies, and his last words to Morty are, was I influential? Yeah, man.
Yes, you were so influential.
Rad. And then he dies.
He fades away.
Poor 26-year-old Morty. And he looks good. He looked good in his 20s.
He did look good. He did. He actually looked ripped, It was buff Morty.
He was. In his 40s, he looked like shit, but 26-year-old Morty, he looked good.
Yeah.
So, at that point, someone comes in and is like, the president would like to speak to you. And Rick's like, fine, but if he turns out to be evil, we're leaving. At which point I was like, holy shit, they're doing it.
Yeah.
The mad lads. They're actually doing it.
They're bringing back evil Morty.
So, they have it. The dreaded meeting with President Morty. And at this point we realise, yeah, man, shit's going down. He mentions something about a central finite curve. He reveals to Morty that Mortys are essentially, mass-produced by Rick.
In factories.
Yeah, because they fucking need them. They're grown in eggs and they fucking manipulate Beth and Jerry's all around the multiverse and shit. They're mass producing.
And they breed Mortys for forgiveness.
Yeah, they're bred for forgiveness from Rick's. At some point, they manage to escape once evil Morty begins his plan, which was to break down the central finite curve, which we don't find out what that is just yet, but we do. We will. Rick and Morty, the sea's filling up with portal fluid, and anyone who opens a portal ends up in a fucking death trap. One of which includes a giant hand that kills one of the Ricks with a fucking cocktail pick, which I really enjoyed. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, there was loads of different ways that they all died. It wasn't like they all went to the blender dimension.
Although I love the blender dimension, of
different
course.
Ways, yeah.
And they end up escaping to the underground, at which point Morty's like, hey man, I don't know if I trust you. There's clearly a lot that I don't know, and I need to know. And Rick's like, look, I've got this thing here. It has my fucking stupid crybaby dickhead backstory. If you want to listen to it, fine. Wait. And then he does it instantly.
And the music cuts in, which I think is nice. The music in it is
dialogue,
good.
less
Yeah.
secrets. And we find out, finally, after 51 episodes, what Rick's backstory is. And we discover that we kind of already know a section of it. It turns out what he said in season 3, that was all a lie.
Was almost accurate.
Now, here's actually an interesting thing I read on Reddit about that. Technically, what he said was completely true if we're talking specifically about the origin of the portal gun. Because that's what the whole thing was about. They weren't trying to figure out how Rick was created. It was about how the portal gun was created. He said it was entirely fictitious because it was. Like, when that happened, in the flashback, it takes him ages to create the portal gun. But in that one, he creates it instantly.
Yeah.
What he said, it being entirely fictitious, if he's talking specifically about the portal gun's origin, he wasn't lying. The rest of it was, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So we could have pinpointed the fact that, that wasn't bullshit. We knew some of it wasn't anyway because in this season alone, in episode 1, Mr. Nimbus mentions Diane, who was the wife, that we meet in episode 4, in season 3. And then in the fucking bird person one of the younger Ricks is like, are you one of those creeps who moves in with a version of our dead daughter? Like, you probably, you could have pinpointed it. And they actually show it and they reveal that, once that happened, Rick went fucking ballistic. He kills a whole bunch of Ricks to the point where the Citadel forms in fear of him. He kills the most powerful members and the lower Ricks all submit to his will. He creates the Council of Ricks and reforms the Citadel in his image. And he has created a central finite curve, which is being formed around a section of the multiverse where Rick C-137, our Rick, the Rick and Morty Rick and Morty forever, Rick and Morty,
the main man, Rick and Morty.
The Rick himself is the smartest man in the multiverse. There's an entire multiverse outside of this multiverse where A, Rick either isn't the smartest Rick, or B, there are no Ricks. President Morty, and again, because he's not evil. He finally reveals when they find him that, that's all he wants to do. He just wants to break out that curve.
Rick.
Yeah, because Rick, and he describes it really well, he's like, he describes it as like, he's a baby that's made the entire multiverse's crib. An infinite version of the same arsehole who's like, just take command, And once you take that into account, he's not evil. Who can blame him? In the last 2 episodes, we've seen how petty and awful he can be. He replaced Morty with 2 crows as a joke, and then actually got attached to the crows and left for good. And then did a whole spin-off and only came back when it was relevant. He's an arsehole.
Yeah.
But Morty forgives him because he's bred for forgiveness. President Morty escapes. And when he escapes, breaking the central finite curve destroys the fluid. So they are currently trapped on a broken section of the Citadel with no fluid and no way home. So it ends on a cliffhanger. And President Morty escapes and he ends up into a yellow fluid dimension instead of green outside the central finite curve, and he takes a good... It's like Thanos at the end of Infinity War. He smiles in a grateful universe and he steps through into the end.
Grateful universe.
And man... one of the best episodes of Rick and Morty by far. The best season finale, for sure. It beat season 2 finally. This was the most season finale of Rick and Morty.
It was insane.
Truly, epic. I can actually, unironically epic.
Yeah.
It really was. And man, because they didn't want to do it. I know they didn't want to do it at least. I truly believe they didn't want to do it. But man, when you do your canon episodes... that's when the show hits its peak. Yeah. That's when you really get
I feel like that's when most shows hit their peak. Because the canon is the most effort that you're putting into the story. So obviously it's going to be good.
Look at season finales of Doctor Who. Like Davos and fucking Masters and shit. Those are... And season 3 and 4 had weak finales, in my opinion. Season 3's was Rick versus the President, which I genuinely felt was really lackluster. And episode 4's was a bit cooler. It was the Clone Beth one.
Yeah, that one was cool.
That was cool, but it still didn't beat season 2's. But finally, we have one I think that does. I think it was really fucking cool.
Yeah.
So, that is a quick overview of Rick and Morty season 5. And now, Mr. Hector.
I'm going to need to see them to be able to order them.
Okay. There you go. We are going to rank Rick and Morty season 5.
I don't know them by those. I need to...
Find your version. Sure. You had to have written it down or something. Mine's in my notes.
Oh, yeah, I've got it. Okay. Yeah, okay. Right. So...
we're going to start from worst and make our way up to best.
Okay. I think worst is easy for everyone. It's obviously episode 4, the incest baby and the sperm monsters. That was terrible.
While it wasn't my least favourite, I can agree that the quality-wise, it was the worst, without a doubt. you know. And it was a low point for the show as a whole. It was where it started to veer into Family Guy territory.
Do we think it's the worst episode that they've done? Do we agree with everyone? Is it the worst episode they've done?
I would say it's either this or the Dragon one. And this had more outrageous stuff that didn't really make sense.
Yeah.
Like, at least the Dragon one was consistent with their characters.
Yeah.
And it did have that really funny, the slot shit.
Yeah, that one was fresh. So this is the worst one.
It could easily be the worst episode of Rick and Morty. It really could.
It is definitely the worst. And then we go from that on to...
And here's where I think we start to diverge, yeah. So, the second to last worst episode.
The second to last worst episode, I'd put, I think, as... The Go-Go-Tron.
Episode 7, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd personally put episode 3, Planetino episode.
Really? You put it that low?
Yeah. I really, the last 3 are episodes that I wouldn't rewatch, at random. I would only rewatch them if I was doing a season watch. But I would rather watch episode 7 than episode 3.
Really?
But, to the detriment of my list, to the credit of my list even, episode 7 is next for me.
Yeah.
It's still bad, but yeah. I still prefer it to episode 3. I don't like episode 3. I really don't. It's my least favourite of the season. It might not be the worst, but it is my least favourite of the season.
Yeah. And for me, another big reason why it's, the second worst is because they continue the incest baby part in this one. So, just those two for me, the worst. The worst out of all of them.
Yeah, for me it's 3 and then 7. So what's your third worst?
I think I'd say 3. Yeah, episode 3.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we're not too dissimilar there, to be fair then.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a good episode either. You can't defend it and say it was good. You can defend it and say it was fine, but
it was. It
wasn't a good episode in my opinion.
Oh, it's tight. Yeah, it's particularly. Yeah, no, I think I would put that one next. Yeah.
Okay. Then what's your fourth worst?
Fourth is probably.
See if it's the same.
I think it's probably going to be the cringe feeding demons one.
Yeah, same with me. Yeah, episode 5. It was a fine episode, but it's just it was very filler, very middling, and even though a lot of the season it wasn't as good as some of the other filler ones.
Yeah.
Example being the next on my one, which is episode 2, the decoy episode.
Yeah, episode 2, the decoy episode, because. Yeah.
Because again, it was fun, but just yeah.
Yeah. The reason why I put it above the other two is just because I think, it's more memorable. It was a bit I think the idea for it was a bit more interesting. The other two were quite generic.
Yeah, and it had some really fun concepts. The alternate Ricks and Mortys, and the whole idea of the Rick and Morty Civil War, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought it was good.
So we're getting now into the top 5 of the season.
Yeah.
So what's your 5th favourite episode?
It's probably going to be the turkey episode.
Same with me. Yeah. Yes. A Thanksploitation Spectacular.
Yeah, I think so.
And yeah, I thought it was a really fun episode. I really do enjoy the President. I do enjoy whenever he comes on.
Yeah, he is good.
And it was a really fun action movie.
Especially the bit at the end where the soldier has got PTSD and he starts
and the wife's crying and the guys are I can't believe we paid for this guy's health insurance. Yeah, really fun episode, really memorable too.
Yeah, no, definitely more memorable than other ones.
Yeah. Alright, the 4th favourite I'm gonna put as episode 9. The two crows and the Nick one.
I see, really?
Yeah.
For me, it's Bird Person episode.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd argue they're both pretty entertaining. Bird Person episode's my next, that's my 3rd. They're both really high quality, but for me, the Bird Person episode is a bit more special because of, honestly, and I don't know, it sounds, again, I don't hate his character at all, but because it's such a Rick-centered episode, it's just, it's like it's just fresh when I saw it. It just holds a higher place to me in that episode.
I see. Yeah, for me, I really because that was where the whole, basically the reveal of Rick and Morty are breaking up and he's got 2 crows. That was all a part of that. And for me, that was just so well done.
Yeah, but remember that also, if you think about it, just leads to a mislead. Like, it was done really well, and they did have us in the first half, but, like...
It was good.
It was good, and
that's why.
And again, I for me, those two could be interchanged, but I do prefer the Bird Person episode.
I see.
So yeah, unfortunately, it is my fourth, and Bird Person is my third.
I see. Yeah, the next one is the Portal Hand and Crows one. So,
which again, great episode still. But
second favourite
for me, it has to be Mr. Nimbus, the first episode. I mean, instant classic, and I said this in the last one, but again, it got lost in that mysterious fire. Episode 1 was the last great episode of classic Rick and Morty, and I truly believe after the season finale, which if you couldn't tell by deduction, is both of our favourites.
Yeah.
It feels like it's entering a new era. They've made a big change now that that finite infinite curve is, destroyed. Like,
it was big and it was bold, and it opens up the show to a lot of...
Yeah. So I think episode 1 was the last good episode of the classic era, and episode 10 was the first great episode of the new era.
Yeah.
And yeah, episode 10 was the best for sure. They were saving the best till last. And I hope they don't do that for every season from now. I hope it's not just 8 episodes of filler and 2 canon ones. Like, but it could be.
But I don't mind. I don't mind that, to be fair. I think it makes, the finale and the start, that's like, the two most hyped parts.
I mean, I don't mind it as long as the filler's good.
Yeah.
Like, season 1 and 2, were mostly filler, but yeah, they had some really fucking bang filler. That fucking Total Recall, the Parasite episode.
Yeah.
Complete filler, one of their best episodes. Yeah. Because it's an amazing concept that they can run with completely,
And that's the one with...
Mr. Poopy Butthole.
What are we doing?
Oh, what are we doing? Sleepy Gary.
Sleepy Gary, yeah.
Which, one of the funniest lines and performances there. Oh, what are we doing?
Yeah, that's funny. That'll always be a special bit in my heart that I'll play every so often.
Yeah. So where would you rank the season with all the others? Should we do that?
The season versus all the others?
Yeah.
Oh my god. What seasons are there? First, second, third,
fourth,
fifth. That's a tough one.
I've got my answer.
Okay.
Do you want me to just give it?
Yeah.
All of it? Or do you want to go from worst?
Go from worst to best.
For me, worst is season 4, to me.
What were some of the episodes in that?
So it begins... Alright, I'll go for all of them. First one was Rick dies. He's a fucking Vision clone and Morty gets that crystal in his head.
Yeah.
Second one was Rick versus that guy who's pooping in his toilet.
Yeah.
Third one's the heist one, which is really good.
Yes, it is.
Fourth one's the dragon one. Yeah. Fifth one's the snake one.
Yeah.
Sixth one's the train one, which is really good. Seventh one is the face hugger one, which is fine.
I thought it was
okay. Episode 8 is the Vat of Acid episode, which is great. Episode 9 is that fucking the ABC.
Wait, so you put that as the last?
Look, it's got maybe 2 great episodes, but I think it's the front half of it that really gets it. The front half have a lot of really bad shit in there. And yeah, episode 9, I'm pretty sure is the ABCs of Beth.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. Episode 9 is Childrick of Mort. He fucks a planet and creates clay children.
Right, yeah.
And then episode 10 is Clone Beth Returns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's okay. I think that's a good season.
Don't get me wrong, remember, they're all great.
Okay, alright, so that's the worst. What's the next?
For me, next would be season 5. Yeah, this one. I stand by it.
Really? So then you think... Wow, you think... So then you think 1, 2 and 3 are all above that?
Alright, 3's a tough one. I think... Obviously, discounting the season finale, because again, the season finale is one of the best episodes. Discounting that one, the high points of season 3 were higher than season 5, apart from the season finale. But I don't know. That begs the question of, does the greatness of the season finale elevate the season as a whole?
Yeah.
But here's my problem.
For me, yeah.
I don't know. I honestly, I think that's a tough one. I think that's a tough predicament.
Because I like to watch, well, not that I do it often, but
I think season 3 was
like
more
to
consistent
watch.
in quality.
I'd like to watch a season, if
Yeah,
I
but
was to binge it.
That's what I mean. Season 3 was more consistent in its quality.
But I would binge season 5 over many of the other ones.
Well, do you remember season 3 well? So it starts with Rick, the Rick Dention. He escapes. That's a great episode.
Yeah.
The second one is shit. It's a Mad Max parody with Manson in the Stone. Episode 3 is Pickle Rick.
Yeah.
Episode 4 is...
Oh, yeah, I know what this... Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I'd still watch season 5 over that, just because I've seen that season so many times, and at this point...
That's not a good argument.
At this point, it's just like, it's stale.
That's not good. Stale. Yeah, but that's a very opinionated argument. That's not subjective. I've seen it many times. I'm assuming now that everyone's seen it so many times. I was like, no, that's not the case.
Yeah, but even still, I think
we can agree to disagree. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for me, and from that point, it's 3, 1, and 2. Maybe I'll sleep on it. Maybe 5 could go up. But as it stands, I don't know.
1, 2, and 3 are all above 5.
Again, season 5's finale, one of the best. But the rest of it, I just feel was very inconsistent.
Yeah.
I don't know what else I can say.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Season 3 had some bangers. It had the Citadel episode.
Yeah, but this one had the Citadel episode, but on steroids.
Yeah, but the Citadel episode in season 3 was still fucking really good.
It was still good, but
it had Morty's Mind Blowers, which was really fun.
That was fun, yeah.
It had fucking... I don't remember a lot of them off the top of my head from season 3. But still, this
one's better.
It's more recent. I think if you sit on it, you will eventually come to agree with me.
I suppose only time will tell.
Yeah. And who knows, maybe I'll be the same. Maybe I'm actually just a hater and I don't know it.
Maybe.
But again, I don't hate this season.
Yeah. No, it's still good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's us talking about Rick and Morty over with. Now, we also have a few episodes of What If to talk about.
We do.
Now...
Oh yeah, it's a few, isn't it? Yeah.
3.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
The first one. Episode 5. Alright, so yeah, just a quick refresher. 1, 2, 3 and 4 are great. We've had, in this season so far, what if Captain Carter was the first Avenger?
Yeah.
We've had, what if T'Challa was a Star-Lord?
Yeah.
We've had, what if the Earth Mightiest heroes were killed? We've had, what if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands?
That was good.
We've had, episode 5, which is the one we're going to talk about now. What if, and my favourite title, what if... Zombies. What if zombies? Zombies. That's all you need. That is all you need in this title. And I loved it.
Yeah.
Marvel Zombies was a really fun comic, and obviously it had to tone it down a bit. It's a lot more bloody in the comics. It's actually written by Robert Kirkman, who does The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
And the personalities of the zombies are really different too. They are self-aware, they can talk. Spider-Man at one point's like, I killed Aunt May and Mary Jane. I hate myself, but I'm so hungry. It's a really meta, weird comic. This was a great adaptation of it. And yeah, Spider-Man, it was a Spider-Man episode, man. He was the highlight of it, for sure, in my opinion. And he wasn't voiced by Tom Holland, but the guy did a good job. Yes, agree? You didn't think he was a good...
It was okay. I thought
he did a good job. I'm not saying good job specifically at Tom Holland, but he was a good Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He embodied the role still.
Yeah.
And fucking, we see a lot of deaths, a lot of people dying this episode. Bucky Barnes dies, and
most of them die.
Most of them die. Yeah, what am I saying? Most of them die. All apart from 3 seem to die.
Yeah.
Them is 3 being Spider-Man, the head of Ant-Man, and T'Challa.
Even Vision, even he goes.
Yeah, he fucking kills himself.
Yeah.
He actually kills himself the same way Thanos did.
Yeah.
And and they have the stone, and they go into Wakanda, and they're like, it's going to be okay, guys. Wakanda has to be safe. And then at the end of the episode, we see Wakanda. And
zombie Thanos.
Zombie fucking Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet waiting for his precious stone that's being brought to him right now. What an ending. It's going to be revisited. Can't wait for that.
What would happen? Would he just make everything zombies with the snap, or would he still kill half the universe?
I think because in the comics they get the powers of Galactus at one point, and yeah, they go around like just eating things. So I think he would just make people food. So yeah, he wouldn't make people zombies. He would make them food. He'd make them cattle. You know, because he wants to eat.
Yeah. He's a hungry boy.
He's a hungry lad. Episode 5, yeah, really fun. It was like a highlight for me. It wasn't as good as episode 4, the Doctor Strange one. Big highlight.
I definitely preferred the Doctor Strange one to the zombies one, I think.
But it's a really good indicator of shit to come and like what the series can do. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, no, definitely. It went very interesting. You know, with the Watcher actually stepping in and talking to the characters.
Yeah, in episode 4, that was deep. That was deep, man.
It was deep, man.
Episode 6. What if Kilmonger rescued Tony Stark? Do you remember this one?
Yes.
Watched it dance, yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I did. I actually... Okay, you probably didn't enjoy it so much because you haven't watched Black Panther.
Yeah.
But you've got to believe me when I say that, because I'm not sure for Black Panther. I don't hate it, I don't love it, I think it's very middling. However, Eric Kilmonger is one of the best MCU villains. And I think with...
Because he was twisted, and you hate him. As the viewer, you hate him.
And man, dude, yeah, if we watch it, I think you'll agree that, yeah, he is, and Michael B. Jordan as it is fucking in the role is brilliant. And yeah, this episode, it went in a really unique direction. He killed 3 Avengers in this episode. He killed War Machine, Black Panther, and Iron Man. Iron Man doesn't even happen in this one.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really interesting how, A, because it didn't happen, he stays arrogant and he stays a dickhead. But B, he also seemingly becomes an alcoholic because every single scene he's in after that, he has a drink in his hand, which is a really sort of thing. No one ever mentions it, but man, because that's what he is in the comics. In the comics, he has a whole storyline called Devil in a Bottle because, yeah, in the comics, he was a borderline alcoholic.
I see.
And they reference it in Iron Man 2, but Kevin Feige didn't allow them to go too far because, you know, does anyone really want to watch a superhero be a drunken mess for an entire movie?
Yeah.
It'd be sad, you know? You'd feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
And yeah, but it was a really interesting little touch there.
Yeah.
And Killmonger's plan fucking worked. He takes over Wakanda. He becomes Black Panther and he's
in the most twisted way.
Yeah.
By
manipulating them into thinking he was a hero.
Yeah.
And he gives that half-hearted Wakanda forever, which when I first heard it I thought was bad voice acting, but then I was like, oh no,
it's actually the perfect voice acting.
It's actually genius.
Yeah.
Really good episode. And yeah, it ends on this one has the most abrupt ending because it ends with Shuri and Pepper, you know, working together, but it genuinely feels like it could have been like another 20 minutes to this one. Like some of the endings have been like full on cliffhangers, like the Thanos one, and
but this one was kind of like
it didn't really it didn't end on a cliffhanger per se. It just kind of ended in the middle of the story. It seems.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I thought it was a solid episode.
Overall, I thought it was good. I think the Doctor Strange one was like one of my favourite, most recent ones. It was really, really good. That one was one of my favourites.
And then we get episode 7. What if Thor were an only child? Party 4.
Yes. We get Chad, sexy Thor.
Himbo Thor.
Yeah.
And yeah, he throws a giant party on Earth, and you get fucking characters from all over the universe come, and the whole plot of it is essentially Earth being like, how do we get this guy to stop partying on our planet and just go home?
They end up trying to nuke him because he's partying so hard.
Yeah, they called Captain Marvel, and it was really... I actually thought that was really cool to see, because like Captain Marvel and Thor are the 2 strongest Avengers, and in live action, there probably won't be a situation occurring that needs them to be fighting. But this... And plus it's animation, so you can go like far out, like throwing each other across continents and shit.
Which they did. Which they did a lot of.
I thought it was really cool that we got to see Captain Marvel and Thor fight.
Yeah.
And we know who would win. Like Captain Marvel, it does seem would win.
Yeah. I mean, she does seem a bit more, you know.
That's the thing, she absorbs energy, and that means he can't use his lightning powers.
She does seem a bit more god tier, doesn't she?
Well, yeah, I mean, you haven't seen the movie, but I mean, her powers come from one of the Infinity Stones. So, you know, it makes sense, you know. It's the same with Wanda. Wanda's also one of the most OP because...
Did Thanos beat her?
That's the thing. Sort of. I mean, he hit her and she went back, and, you know, they were fighting over the gauntlet if that happened, but, I mean, if you gave her another 5 minutes, I mean, at that point, Tony Stark instantly steps in and does the snap. If you'd given her another 5 minutes, she probably could have got up and done something.
Yeah.
There is that one scene where fucking, he, you know, she comes in, she destroys that ship, and because she's there and she's causing so much havoc, he's like, make it rain fire, and they're like, but sire, the troops, and he's like, just do it!
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no, she, if with more time, and that's another thing, she totally could have survived the snap. Tony should have just, and you know another thing? She had the gauntlet at one point. Guess what you can do, Captain Marvel, that Thanos can't? You can fly.
Yeah.
Just fly away.
Fly away, yeah.
Throw it so fucking far and just do that.
Why didn't she do that?
I don't know. Throw it into the sun. Do anything other than keep it on the
How would they
battlefield.
get into the sun and get it?
Thanos can't do that. He hasn't got the gauntlet.
Exactly. How would they actually get it if it was in the sun?
I don't know, but she doesn't do that, and instead, fucking, she gets tossed. Not tossed off, but tossed to the side.
Tossed off. Yeah.
And this episode, it was really fun. We get to see love bloom between
it's beautiful.
Thor and Jane.
Beautiful, beautiful Thor.
Howard the Duck marries Darcy, which
it
was not on my bingo list, and if it was, I would never have suspected it.
No.
Insanity.
Yeah.
I love this show now. 10 out of 10.
So random as well, all in one night.
Yeah.
All happened in one night.
They had a fucking... And he's like, oh, look who comes crawling back, Mrs. the Duck. Because his name is Howard the Duck.
So
He's not Howard Duck. Or Howard T. Duck.
Yeah.
He's Howard the...
So she's now Mrs. the Duck.
She's Darcy the Duck.
Yeah. Oh my god.
She is.
Oh my god.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Which is extra weird. Because he comes from an entire planet of ducks. They're not all called the Duck, though. Like, that's his legal surname. He's the only...
decided.
The rest of them have normal names.
He just
Have
decided.
you seen Howard the Duck, the movie?
No.
Oh, we've got to watch it at some point. Alright. Believe me when I tell you this, alright? Because it's not like animated. He's a puppet. He's like an animatronic duck puppet.
Okay.
When he comes to our world, he gets sucked through an apartment complex full of ducks. And there's a shot where he goes through a duck woman in the bath with duck titties. Humanoid duck titties.
Okay.
And it's like, no, but here's what I was thinking when I watched that for the first time. I was like, man, that puppet exists and someone still owns it.
Yeah.
Someone has the duck titty puppet.
Duck titties.
And who knows what the fuck he has done with that puppet, but I bet it's not clean.
I'm sorry. We all know what the fuck he's done with that
He has
puppet.
fucked the duck titty puppet.
Fucked that puppet.
So, yes. So, we see love bloom between Jane and Thor. Darcy marries Howard the Duck. She becomes Darcy the Duck Hector. The perfect Marvel character name.
Yeah.
And, yeah, things just escalate. They just get worse and worse. They're causing havoc. At one point, Thor, just to be a dick, makes a Stonehenge fall. And it's like, as UK people, we're like, oh man.
Man,
we love that thing.
I love Stonehenge.
What is that
How
thing?
can they do
But we
that?
love it.
Yeah.
And, man, it was
And then he
really...
almost gets his ass kicked
by Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
And, yeah, he only beats her by fucking putting the hammer on her. And then he's like, you need a timeout. But then, after he says that, he immediately picks the hammer, like, no, leave it on her for like an hour. Give her a timeout. That's not a timeout.
He then takes it off and just walks away.
Yeah, she can't move.
She wasn't timed out.
Yeah. She was being a party pooper. Just put the hammer on her and walk away.
Yeah.
That's what you should have done, but no. Instead, she goes to S.H.I.E.L.D. and she's like, my punches could destroy the world, essentially. And it's not worth destroying the world for this guy, for this frat guy. And Darcy's like, oh man, you know what? It's a shame he's not human, because we could just tell his mum. And Jane's like, that's brilliant, Darcy!
Light bulb idea. And then she calls, what's his name?
Yeah, she sends like a signal for Heimdall.
Yeah.
And Heimdall, because Idris Elba, who plays Heimdall, he didn't come back. He's busy.
Yeah.
He was Bloodsport in fucking Suicide Squad. He's a busy guy now. He's doing a Luther movie now with Andy Serkis for Netflix. I'm really looking forward to it. Have you ever seen Luther?
No.
It's a good show. Well, it's half of a good show. There's 5 seasons, and seasons 1, 2, and 3 are really good. 4 and 5 are meh. 4's really me.
Is it
5 was okay.
What's the story of it?
He's a detective doing detective things, and there's serial killers everywhere. Dude, London's infested with serial killers.
Oh, wait, yeah, no, I do know what it is, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a good show. And we've known for a while that the show probably wasn't coming back. It took like a 6-year hiatus between seasons 4 and 5. It came back randomly at the end of 2019. And now it's getting like a movie to have it off. Andy Serkis is playing the villain. I think he's going full Gollum. He's going to be CGI.
Oh my god.
But no, I'm quite looking forward to that. So yeah, he was too busy. So every shot of Heimdall in this is just like his eyes, like dun.
Yeah, just the dramatic, yeah.
But yeah,
his eyes.
He brings Jane to Asgard and he sends her to Frigga, and fucking Captain Marvel comes back for a rematch. They're fighting again, and then at one point she comes down in a vision and is like, Thor!
And he's like, Mummy, what are you doing?
Captain Marvel's like, Mother? And
it's basically, just a posh boy getting told off by his mum, and then his mum comes to tell him off. And
because he's like, no, I'm here on a study group. We're learning. We've developed a course, and she's like, no.
And then she flies down, and obviously they've put it all away. And he's teaching them.
It takes her a million years to get there.
Yeah.
So I can only assume that where she was having the dinner with her friends. In fact, she does say, "See you in 1,000 years." Maybe it just takes 1,000 years to get there.
Yeah, she has to travel for that long.
It does, and she returns to Earth, and at this point, Thor has used the power of the All-Father to convince everyone. Because he's like, my mother is coming, and everyone in unison is like, Frigga! There's no way they all knew her name. So he's controlling them. He makes them all help, and when she gets to Earth, they're doing book learning and smart lesson things, and he makes them all talk in unison, being like, learning is fun! At which point you were like, that's a bit weird, that's a bit cringe, and I was like, well, remember, Thor, he's not actually doing this. He's a fat boy. What does a fat boy think his mum wants to hear?
Yeah.
And it seems like he's not really convinced her, but then Captain Marvel comes with a tablet and it's like, hey man, I've got encyclopedias, I've got podcasts, I've got documentaries.
And you're like, oh, she's helping him out.
Yeah, and Thor's like, and I actually really like this line. Thor's like, such a small thing, but so much to it. Thank you. Like, that's a really good line. Double meaning there. He's saying, this is a small tablet with a lot of information. But he's also saying, this is such a small gesture. Thank you, Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
And
she basically saved his ass.
Yeah. And then it ends with him going to Jane and being like, you told my mother. That was a dick move. But the right thing to do, And and it seems like,
He's like, I love you. Yeah. And then she's like, well, take me out on a date then. And he's like, I can take you where there's unicorns.
Yeah, unicorns. And I want to go there. That sounds fun. And it seems really nice. And the Watcher's like, love blossoming. This is paraphrasing, but this is almost exactly what he says. He's like, love blossoming. Sometimes love triumphs over evil. The darkness just... Wait, what? And then fucking Thor looks over to a fucking portal and a bunch of Ultron robots bomb out. And then there's a big Ultron with all the Infinity Gauntlets, and his helmet opens up to reveal Vision. Because remember, in Age of Ultron, the Vision body was for him, and they stole it. So he's got the Vision body. And I'm pretty sure the name they're calling him on Reddit is Ultravision.
Ultravision.
Which is cool. It's a cool name.
Yeah.
I think his actual name, because there is... Alright, so... With concept art, because concept art has been leaked from this show and shit, I think it's all been labelled under the character name of something like the Supreme Leader or something like that.
Sounds fitting.
It is, but fuck that, it's Ultravision.
Ultravision. Yeah. Fuck what they think. The artists, they don't have a say in this.
Which means he's begun his thing. Now, this raises a question, because there's 9 episodes in this. This is only episode 7, so... Are we going straight in with a 2-parter multiversal Avengers? Or is episode 8 still going to be like a one-off, and the Watcher's just going to be like, I'm going to ignore this for now?
Yeah. See, it'd be quite nice for that to be a 2-parter, I think. I think it would be good. I think it would be nice.
The first part could be like him going around collecting them, and thus we can wrap it all up, and then the second one could be the all-out battle.
Yeah.
And here's something I wondered, though, because there were supposed to be 10, right? And they knocked it down to 9. And then the second season has been announced, and that's also 9. Why? Why not just 10? Just round it up to a nice, even number.
Yeah.
They did the same with WandaVision. And with WandaVision, everyone theorised it was supposed to be 10, but there just wasn't as much content as they thought there would be. Yeah. So they had to do 9, which happens sometimes. But, like, this is an animated show, and you've already got a second season planned. Just make it 10, guy.
Yeah.
What are you doing? 9? I hate that. I hate that.
Who picked that number?
I'm a writer, and if someone came to me and was like, "Hey man, I'll give you a show, but you can only do 9 episodes a season," I'd be like, "Get that offer away from me. Disgusting.
Get that shit out of here."
Unless it was 8 episodes in a Christmas special, get that fuck out of my face. But yeah, overall, this was a really good episode, actually. I really enjoyed it. Not as good as Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange was, not only that, because here's the thing, Doctor Strange was a unique case, because it wasn't only a high point for the show, but the quality of the story, it was a high point for the MCU. It was the darkest story the MCU have ever done. It was so fucking mature. It was like, it was a slap in the face. It was like, what the fuck? This was like, yeah, this was so fucking good.
It was.
So yeah, I don't know if it will top it, but if this 2-parter is epic, it very much will. And Dr. Armani will be coming back probably. Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, we'll get to see, and hopefully he'll come back and he'll be like, to the watcher, he'll be like, it's you again! Why didn't you stop this? And he's going to be like, dude, I told you, I'm a god.
I'm just watching.
Yeah, I'm just watching, but now I need you.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I'm really enjoying What If. It was one of my most hyped projects when they announced it, and they've said that season 2 won't be coming out till like 2023. That's a shame.
2023.
Yeah, 2 years.
Wow.
Now, one benefit we have to that is apparently, and these are all rumours at this point, but a lot of people think that some things from What If are going to come into Doctor Strange 2, which is coming out next year. Like, a lot of people think that Captain Carter live action is going to come. They think, the squid tentacle monster, they think that's going to probably make an appearance. Like, yeah, they just think that a lot. And obviously, evil Doctor Strange. A lot of people are theorising, like, that could be the main villain of Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Because that is called the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would make sense. But, who knows, But yeah, either way, we're going to have to wait a long time.
That is a shame. Yeah, 2023.
But overall, yeah, I've had a lot of fun with this. And when it does end, there will still be a week break between 9 and 10, even if it's a week, even if it's a 2-part, they'll still do that. But when it does wrap up, we'll do what we did for Rick and Morty. We'll,
do the. I think my favourite so far has been the Doctor Strange episode, 100%.
Well, yeah, of course, but we'll rank all of them, all 9.
Yeah.
And I hate it. Even sounds bad out of my mouth. All 9.
Why not 10? Why not just round it up to an even number?
Exactly.
All humans are slightly OCD when it comes to things like that.
I know.
Come on, man. They did it on purpose.
I know, right? So in my uni class, we had a thing where we had to do treatments for TV shows, and we were in small groups with teachers, and one of them was like, yeah, I've got a mini-series planned. So far, I think it's going to be 5 episodes. All of us, including the teacher, went essentially we were all like 5? Maybe 1 more, 1 less, 4, 6?
Yeah.
Because, yeah, 5.
5.
Hey, come watch this show. How many episodes? 5. Now, there's only one occasion where that's alright. And that's if you're airing it like 1 a week. That's fair. But if you're not doing that, get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here. Why even suggest that?
It's disgusting.
It is.
1 a day, sorry.
You should have smacked him in the face and said, wake the fuck up out of this dream world.
It was over Zoom, but somehow a hand did just come into frame and slap him.
Yeah. Just the sheer will of everyone sat in that call.
Because it was, honestly, it was a really fucked up thing for him to say.
It's a really fucked up thing for him to say.
But yeah, I think that's it then. It's been good. This was a good one. Unfortunately, it wasn't as good as the last episode. That episode was fire.
The last episode was literal fire, but unfortunately, it's lost the time. It's lost the time forever. But now, since we've started streaming on Twitch, we won't have that problem anymore.
Yeah,
they're saved there forever. We don't need to worry about if it corrupts or your whole computer could break right now.
It's true.
Burst into flames.
It's true, and it's still there.
Yeah, it's still there.
And even though we lost that episode, this was still a good one. Still, it was nice, and it's on Twitch now as a backup. But hopefully, all the saves go well. It's going to be edited, and it's going to be on iTunes, Spotify, all of that stuff. On Friday. Thank you for listening if you got this far. Thank you specifically. Yeah, I mean,
You know who we're talking
I actually do mean you. Yeah, it's you. Hi, guy. Yeah, thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time. Bye. And we also listen to the commentary tracks.